Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha with Ice Cream Fitness here. I have something I want to talk to you guys in a bit of detail and keep it in layman's terms and as brief as possible. Some debates and discussions that came up in my Q&As yesterday on Monday that really had me disturbed a bit. But hold on, let me give you guys a bicep shot first. Alright, this is something I talk about quite a bit off and on, and particularly in some of my early videos when I first started a year ago. And there was debates earlier, people were talking about, should I be worried about the simple carbs in milk? And people were debating with me about the sugar content of milk versus the sugar content in rice, and people were worried about that, and diabetes and fat gain and everything from this. And honestly, I blame the fitness industry and all of the gurus and pseudo experts out there who have, over the last couple decades, in the bodybuilding world, the fitness world, even magazines or people trying to lose weight and books, have fed them piles of bullshit when these people actually do not know anything about the way the body produces insulin response to things and how it works. And they've tried to give people simple rules that actually do not work. They're complete bullshit. They don't apply. And here's what I mean. What a lot of people don't seem to realize is that insulin response to foods and absorption rates of different carbs are completely dependent upon what you eat with it, how long ago your last meal was and the content of your last meal, and what sort of physical activity you've been doing. That table sugar under those different conditions can have 20 completely different insulin responses across a wide spectrum, depending upon all of those factors. It is not a constant thing. And when people even try to use things like glycemic index and glycemic load, what they don't realize, they were discussing with me this stuff about rice versus milk, and I'm going to drop a bomb on you guys. Milk has a lower glycemic index, as if glycemic index even matters, and insulin response than brown rice, sweet potatoes, and oats do. Even though it is a simple carb and those are complex carbs, it has a slower absorption rate, even when you're fasted, than those other three. And it's because there are other factors involved than if something is a simple sugar versus a complex carb. And when it comes to sugars, when people talk about the negatives of sugar, they are specifically talking about fructose. They're not talking about the other 15 or 20 different sugars found out there, because most of the fructose that people get today comes from table sugar, which is just shortened to the word sugar. That's the slang term for it, or the layman's term for it, and the label when you buy it in the store, or high fructose corn syrup. They're not talking about all the other glucose based sugars out there. They're talking specifically about the fructose. And for the record, fructose doesn't even have an insulin response. So people talking about insulin and bringing this stuff into the equation when they're discussing fructose. Fructose has a glycemic index and a glycemic load and an insulin response of 0. And actually, even a protein shake or a piece of chicken breast has a much larger insulin response than pure crystalline fructose would. So discussing insulin with fructose is a non-issue, and fructose is not something I can cover today. I've covered it in the past. You guys can plug that into the search engine on my site. I've talked about fructose ad nauseum. And what people seem to be completely unaware of when they start discussing, and again, I blame these gurus for this and people getting this misinformation, your body cannot utilize complex carbs for any purpose whatsoever. Your body will convert any starches you eat. It will turn that brown rice, those sweet potatoes, those oats, barley, whatever it was that you ate, it will convert them into glucose before you can use them. It will turn them into sugars. And sometimes you will get more glucose into your bloodstream more quickly from brown rice than you will from ice cream or milk. Even though those are simpler carbs, you will actually get more sugar into your bloodstream more quickly. Now, the thing is, on top of that, as I was saying earlier, all of our studies usually on insulin response and the glycemic index and everything else are in fasted people who have not eaten anything for 24 hours and they have not trained, because some other issues here is that eating food beforehand, particularly if you've eaten protein, fiber, or significant amounts of fat, you will reduce your body's ability to absorb carbs that you eat later. You will slow down their absorption for hours afterwards. So if you've eaten something like that, you're going to blunt the insulin response and blunt the absorption rate of those things. And training does the same thing. So when people start talking about insulin spikes, if you've trained hard for an hour, you're not going to be able to produce an insulin spike post-workout. So much for that bullshit. Your body can't do it, and there's a lot of reasons why your insulin response is blunted for a couple of hours actually after you train. So again, that's another load of horse shit that you people have been fed. So again, all of this discussion about fast versus a slow absorbing carb, sugar versus complex carbs, most of it is bullshit. It's been perpetrated by people who really shouldn't be discussing the topic, and the vast majority of it does not have practical applications for people who are trying to gain muscle, lose fat, or get into shape. It has practical applications for people who are diabetic or for who are developing diabetes. And even then, you're not going to be able to sort through it yourself. You're probably going to want to hire a dietitian at that point. Alright guys, well that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.